Good evening. This is Atmospheric Alex here with yet another tropical weather outlook and discussion for today. We're going to be talking about Tropical Storm Melissa and what all she may do as she heads on off to the west, to the northwest over the next week or so. It could bring some very significant impacts to some of the Greater Antilles. We're going to have to watch out for this extremely closely. As we do take a current look at our satellite imagery for Melissa here, you can see it is still extremely discombobulated due to all the wind shear impacting it. You can see your mid-level center is right within here, so we're going to mark this with an M, and your lower level center is actually really displaced from your mid-level center due to your wind shear, and it is off over here. So there still is a ton of work that needs to be done on Melissa here, but once these two centers can consolidate and stack on top of each other, we're going to be talking about a very intense system across our Caribbean region. Now, as we go ahead and take a look at weather-wise here with our National Hurricane Center's cone of uncertainty, you can see this system is anticipated to move extremely slowly here off to the northwest, and our cone of uncertainty is this big old circle right now, which basically indicates that we have no idea where Melissa is going to go, though we do think that it will go further off to the west, and that is something we're going to have to watch for, but this is just something that looks super duper uncertain at the current point in time. As we do take a look at our current track guidance here from our hurricane models and all of our other models that we look at here from Tropical Tidbits, you could see a general consensus is developing that Melissa could do something like this right within here and move generally off to the northwest. We do have our main hurricane models, which are actually pulling it southwest here. That would be a very interesting scenario if we did see that unfold. We could be talking about a high-end major hurricane if something like this were to occur. And we still do see a bifurcation right within here, some models going off like this, and other models are actually going off like this. So it is going to be very interesting to watch over the next few days, and we could see some really brutal rain impacts for Jamaica and surrounding areas. We're talking upwards of maybe 2 feet or more of rain if this makes it in the right areas. Now, as we take a look at our track guidance right now, you could see our intensity guidance, I should say. We're talking about quite a lot of members or a lot of models. I'm losing my mind this evening, showing this becoming a Category 3 major hurricane right within here. But some of our main hurricane models like the HAVS-B, HAVS-A, and HMON all have this closing in on a Category 5, which at this current point in time is definitely possible, but is not a forecast, because again, if this thing tracks too far north, it'll have more wind shear to deal with and land interaction. So please, let's not focus on this just yet, but still you get the idea. I am thinking this could become a high-end Cat 3, maybe a low-end Category 4 hurricane at its absolute peak. One thing that is quite alarming is our ocean heat content values right now. We are talking about some almost historic values. Once again, like I've been saying, across these areas here, we have quite a lot, but right especially over here, where this thing is really going to be tracking, we do have upper ocean heat content values between 150 and 200 units. This is, I believe, around 80 to 100 units above average right now, which is a very interesting look, especially these areas down here. So if this does track further off to the west, kind of like this, we're going to be talking about a lot of significant issues later on. Now we're going to go ahead and take a look at our environment ahead of Melissa here. You could see there is quite a bit of wind shear currently impacting the system, but nothing so detrimental to kill it just yet. And you could see over the next few days, this is anticipated to get into a more favorable pocket here. You could see most of your wind shear is going to be up in this area here, and you do in fact have a more favorable region right within here where this will likely develop. With that being said, you can see with our European model, it lights up significantly as the system moves further south, and this is where rapid to even explosive intensification may occur. And yeah, you could see our wind shear just completely jumps off a cliff at that point, and we are not dealing with any limiting factors from your kinematic department. However, our dry air will be quite an issue here at first, but we have been trending upwards on our moisture here. You could see a lot of moisture right within here, some of it even directly on top of your lower level and mid-level centers here. That's something to note. And this is going to struggle a bit as it moves further west, as it will be leaving its moisture pocket behind a little bit. But as we start to see this move off to the northeast, you begin to notice how your moisture pocket catches up to Melissa, and this thing absolutely explodes in that environment as this begins to track into relative humidity values of around 75 to 85%. So it's just extremely favorable out there, little to no wind shear in this area either. So we are starting to look at potentially much more higher end scenarios on our models as our wind shear is backing off and our moisture is increasing a bit. And you can see this moisture pocket really keeps this thing cocooned and protects it from its incoming frontal system. Now we're going to go ahead and take a look at our European ensemble here, our EPS model. You can see what we are talking about here. Melissa could lift further off to the north over time, and you can see there's still a few members that are for some odd reason taking it up where the GFS wants it. This is probably not going to happen, so let's really not pay attention to that just yet. But you could see all these members down here develop. And if we go ahead and take a look at our minimum pressure down here that is indicated, you could see 915 millibars. This is anticipated to become a very strong system. And there are a ton of members down here depicting it as such. 903 millibars. Basically, all these are category 4 intensity, even a few category 5 intensity here. And this is likely going to be a major hurricane. I really have no doubt about it at this point. And you could see Cuba, you really need to prepare. Jamaica, you especially need to prepare as well. This is a very dangerous situation that could unfold over the next week. You need to pay attention to this and be very vigilant about this. Our main European model here, you kind of already saw a preview of it before. This does have the possibility to stall out and deliver a ton of rain to Jamaica and surrounding islands here. We are talking about this. Look at all of that rain making it onshore. I think the main issue with this is going to be flooding if it takes a path similar to that. And you can see, I mean, this is dumping tons and tons of tremendous amounts of rainfall. We're going to go over our totals in tomorrow's video as we're going to have more details ironed out. And we'll also go over our hurricane model data as well, because this is looking more significant. But we are talking about potentially upwards of 2+ feet of rain on that island of Jamaica there, as this curls on off in this general direction after stalling out for a few days. And this is not precisely a forecast yet, but we're starting to see, again, a little more certainty on our track guidance. This thing really intensifies a lot here into a category 4 hurricane over time, and just, geez, that is a powerful system. Our European AI ensemble goes something like this. You could still see a few little odd members here tracking into Hispaniola, into the Dominican Republic and Haiti. This is probably not going to happen. But again, I would stay on guard for significant rainfall potentially in some localized spots. But the real story comes from its downstream development here near Jamaica. You could see this is a very strong system. A lot of these members have it moving very slowly past the island here, again solidifying your flooding rainfall risk. And then again, Cuba, again, you need to really watch out for this closely. Our main European AI model shows something like this. It does in fact stall off the coast of Hispaniola and dumps a ton of rain along the coastal regions and in the mountains. This does move closer to Jamaica, but luckily at the last second does get pulled out really rapidly off to the northeast. But this is not a forecast because, again, we don't know just how far south this system is going to wind up going, and that will change the entire ball game. Our GEFS ensemble goes like this. We're going to view it from Tropical Tidbits, as WeatherBell does not initialize data too properly for some peculiar reason. You could still see there are a ton of members showing this going right up like this, which again, I just don't see that happening because our system is way further west west right now, and it is not grabbing onto the system too well. But we're going to focus on all these right here. You can see a ton of these members go directly over Jamaica or just around the island, dumping a lot of rainfall, and this continues on off in this general fashion here, a lot further west than these members of this particular model suite were showing yesterday and the days prior. And you could see a lot of these track insanely far west, some of them almost into Central America, right within there. These would no doubt become a Category 5 on this particular model run. Again, this is not a forecast. This is not me saying a Category 5 is expected, but you saw the ocean conditions. You saw what's coming up for Melissa. This is looking definitely quite impressive out there in Cuba. You need to watch it. Southern Florida, maybe. I mean, you're going to have to keep an eye on it regardless, but just kind of keep in mind, if this thing stays weak and tracks further west, you may have some issues, and you could see it moving on through there. Our main GFS model is completely unreliable, and again, this is probably not going to go into Central Hispaniola and Haiti right there. That is just plain ridiculous, and then, yeah, the GFS at this point is pretty much taken out of the equation for the most part. Our Canadian ensemble goes something like this. You could see, again, not as many curving it off to the right, which, again, that's more reliable data, but you could see a lot of members within here. It's very low resolution for some reason, but there's a lot of stalling that occurs right in this general area of Jamaica. So you're going to have to really watch out for flooding. And honestly, if this continues trending this way, you're going to have to evacuate, because 2 to 3 feet of rain in a mountainous area will not end too smoothly. And you could see a lot of these moving incredibly slowly across that area and then off to the northeast, like, again, our other models have been showing for a while now. Our Canadian model, our main Canadian model, does show this moving really far off to the southwest and shows quite a significant blow on the Cuba there, and southwest Florida even would monitor that as well, and of course the Bahamas, but that is not a forecast either, because that's a little far west at this given point in time. Our Icon model is going something like this. You can see it does stall right there. Goodness gracious, that would be a lot of rainfall on the Haiti. We really got to hope that doesn't happen. And then this continues doing some really weird stuff, and again, Icon is not that reliable in this situation, it seems. But what is unfortunately reliable is going to have to be our AI models here. Most specifically, our FNV3 Google DeepMind model. And again, for those of you who are new, yes, Google did develop a weather model, or the search engine, right? You can't believe it. But it is proven to be more accurate than the European model so far this season. You can see here from our FNV3, I had to preload all the images there, so I apologize. We are talking again, and I wanted to note this too because this is extremely important, but our sea surface temperatures are currently 30 degrees Celsius across this entire area here. That is roughly 86 degrees Fahrenheit, so that is more than favorable for explosive tropical weather development here. So that's, again, that's something cool that this model does show, but you could see here, very tightly packed ensemble here, but for some reason, some of your members still do something like this, and again, I just don't see that happening. Again, our mid-level center and our lower-level center are substantially displaced from each other right now. So this system is not going to organize much over the next day or two. So again, this curve to the right is very bizarre, and I don't see it happening much. But you can see a lot of them that do curve it off actually curve it back. So if you're following along, go something like this. And honestly, that seems a little more realistic. As we take it through time, a lot of these just absolutely explode this system into oblivion here. All of your pink members here do show a Category 4 hurricane. A lot of them show a Category 5 as well. This is really quite insane data and will be a true test for the FNV3 DeepMind model, because we really haven't had such a crazy system like this in the Caribbean while this model has been up and running. A lot of these go over Jamaica. You need to prepare. Portions of Cuba should really prepare as well. This is definitely going to be a serious situation for somebody at least. Now we're going to take a look at our GENC AI model here, and you could see it does show the system really struggling to develop. Again, your mid-level center, lower-level center of circulation is significantly displaced, and this model continues that for the next 3 days or so. Once it gets its act together, together. Again, you have a bit of a bifurcation in our track here. You could see some members going up like this, which is a possibility still, but then a lot of members go off like this, and that's starting to become a little bit more realistic, and that's definitely going to be something to watch. Look at Jamaica. Oh gosh, I'm sorry, that gave me a few chills just seeing all of that right within there. Man, oh man, lots of spaghetti rolling right over Jamaica and Cuba. So this is going to be a very significant system for somebody. And with that being said, thank you all so much for tuning into today's video. I really hope you enjoyed it. If you did, please be sure to smash that like button, subscribe to my little corner of the weather community, even share this video with friends and family on social media. Actually, you probably should do that, especially if you know anybody that lives down here. This is very serious. Also, feel free to leave a comment in the section below if you found this video entertaining or especially informative, because we are talking about a lot of issues with upcoming Melissa here. A lot of uncertainties as well. With that said, have a wonderful night. I will see you all back here tomorrow as we're going to go into a much deeper dive here with an even more elevated level of concern being possible.